Because that's the
Yeah.
goal, is not to be hitting up our friends and family all the time to buy our stuff.
Right. Especially since so many have come out and supported us already, right?
Hey guys, welcome to Inside Comics. My name is George Michail, and today I'm super psyched. I'm joined by my co-writer on Cover of Darkness, Chris Cam. Chris, thanks for being here.
Hey, George, good to see you again.
You look really short.
Stop teasing me about my height.
So we have a Kickstarter out for our project. It's called Cover of Darkness. It's kind of like Game of Thrones meets Universal Monsters. It follows a family in medieval Romania that gets separated from each other, and they encounter vampires, werewolves, the mummy, creature from the Black Lagoon, and Frankenstein. So the Kickstarter is live right now, and it's for a hardcover and for the card game. And we'll get more into that a bit later. There is a link to the Kickstarter in the description of this video. But before we talk about more about our Kickstarter, let's talk about writing horror, which is probably why most people clicked on this video. What is your advice for someone trying to write horror?
I think let the story tell you what kind of book it is. So if you're going in knowing that you're going to write horror, then you're going to work in a lot of fear, a lot of terror, a lot of those mind suspense, but also a lot of physical suspense into it as well. For us, we took classic monster lore that already exists, and we did our own twist on it. So we took these horror characters, Frankenstein, the mummy, vampire, creature from the Black Lagoon, and then we did our own twists. We gave them their own history within our world. We made them horrifying in our own way, which is kind of fun.
Yes, our Frankenstein story takes place on the island of Atlantis. He's resurrected by his widow, Dr. Mary Frankenstein. And one thing that we did with him is the same restorative properties that brought him back to life, reanimate the dead. So he's like the very first zombie. So yeah, totally like putting that new twist on things is one way to approach horror. I like to work backwards. I like to think of something horrific and then kind of make it make sense. It's like, okay, this would be amazing to see this happen. You know, this guy get his, brain ripped or his face ripped off or arms pulled off or anything like this. And it's like, how can this make sense?
Yeah, I think it depends on where you're starting with. So if you have that original image, this gory, gruesome image, working backwards from that, or if you don't know what your final gruesome image is, you can start with a well-laid character, and I think that makes a big difference.
Yeah, and that all kind of ties into like anticipation. And,
absolutely.
Sometimes the reader knows what's going to happen, but it's when is it going to happen, right? So maybe there's a secret that you're slowly revealing, and you kind of give like little breadcrumbs, and it just keeps the reader waiting.
Absolutely. Well, and I think that there's something to be said for, we write graphic novels, and for us, it's on the page turn, right? We work up to a idea, and then you flip the page and you're like, oh my God, I totally saw it coming, but that's amazing. And so for us, it's both a visual as well as a storytelling element.
In comics, I think it's great for the odd number pages to ask a question, and then that page turn, that even number page, to reveal the answer.
Yeah. I think you're totally right. And I think it's graphic novels. I think you can even look at a picture book. If you're writing a picture book, the page turn is often a reveal or a further answer to a question, or maybe even a further heightening of the suspense within whatever story you're writing.
Well, and I'm always kind of conscious of the reader can put down your book at any moment. So you want to keep them engaged throughout. And so it's great to have these mysteries and these secrets, but you have to keep them interested in it. You can't just create all these mysteries and not give any answers. And it's like, well, who cares? You have to really create characters that the characters are that the reader is rooting for.
Absolutely. I completely agree. And I think that every character should have their fully fledged story that they can embrace. So the villain isn't just a villain. He has a reason that he's doing these horrific things if you're writing a horror book. The hero has their own journey that they're on, but the villain has a journey that they're on. Any side characters, yes, in your story they're a side character, but in their own world they are the main character. And I think that's a really good way to bring suspense, but also some of the thrills and some of the horror can come, because as you fall in love with the side character and then they're going to die, you're also like, don't kill them, don't kill them. Oh, I knew you were going to kill them, kind of thing. And so it just gives you more characters for the reader, or the reader to love and fall in love with, but also gets them more engaged with the story as they're going.
So you touched on a lot of like great points right there. So having a misunderstood villain, because nobody thinks of themselves as a villain, right? So it's not really relatable to just have somebody that's pure evil. I'm sure there can be characters out there like that that are just pure evil, but
Yes.
for me, what resonates more than like a Michael Myers that is just like a constant presence coming towards you is someone like a Magneto who has his reasons and his logic for doing what he's doing, and he doesn't view himself as a villain at all. And to me,
But
that's
he's
more
done some
compelling.
truly horrific things, right? Like, he's truly horrific things within the X-Men universe. Magneto has done many of them, and yet he, in his own mind, is a hero, and the reader can sympathize with a lot of his motives and a lot of his backstory as well.
Yeah, and also another thing that you mentioned there is like killing off reader favorites. That can be really tough, where it's like you create these characters and you as a writer starts to like them and starts to love them and root for them, and then are you going to follow through with your original plan of offing them, or are you second guessing that? And I guess like there's an expression like don't be afraid to kill your darlings, but that's easier said than done.
Oh, I totally agree. And we've run into this with Cover of Darkness, because we have a large cast of characters, and within our story some of them do die, and it's a matter of choice, and whose story arc is the most compelling, who is the main character. Are they going to die in this story, or is it somebody who's supporting them that is going to take the hit in this case?
So what makes something horror as opposed to just like a drama?
I think that it's something that takes the fear and the excitement to a whole new level, because you have something like a thriller, which are really popular in prose nowadays, and you can find so much really great authors that hit that thriller aspect. But I think horror takes it to a whole new level. So you're getting the blood, the guts, the gore. You're getting the decisions inspired by fear, as opposed to a character who's in their right mind. They're driven to something extreme and they're making terrible choices. And then I think there's a horror aspect to it that's gory, and not every horror has to be gory. I think Stephen King is a really awesome example that he can do the horror that is both gory as well as thriller taken to a whole new level. But yeah, I think that it's thriller on speed, and I think that it's a little bit of blood, guts, and gore.
Yeah, I love a good horror, and I like but I also like the psychological aspect of most thrillers. I think when a thriller turns into horror is, like you said, when shit hits the fan, when it gets nuts, and someone's being chased or there's gore and attacks. Right, a thriller is maybe just a lot of suspense, and horror is when it kind of goes, it just kind of jumps off the cliff of a thriller and goes a little bit further.
I think Jump Off the Cliff is a really good example of it, because you're taking something to the absolute extreme. I think that's exactly what it is. And I think we're fortunate writing a graphic novel. We have the opportunity to have our artists show some of the horror that can be depicted with blood, guts, and gore. In a prose style, you have to write that all out. It's something that as a writer, you have to describe in detail. And again, Stephen King is one of my favorites, and he does fantastical horror. But I love that we have MJ Hiblin, who leans into the horror, who leans into the blood, the guts, and the gore, and can really turn that out for us on a page turn. You're just getting a wide-eyed, holy crap.
And with that, let's get into our Kickstarter that's live right now. There's a link to it in the description of this video. What is
Perfect.
our Kickstarter for?
It's for the hardcover first 6 issues of Cover of Darkness, as well as our brand new, never before released card game, Cover of Darkness. Did you want to talk to us a bit about the card game?
So the card game is fun for all ages. It's for 2 to 4 players, and it requires memory and luck of the draw. So it's one of the best kind of skill and luck in building the ultimate monster army. So when you have pairs or 3 of a kind or 4 of a kind of any monster that you're dealt, that increases your point value, and you're given your cards face down, and you're allowed to look at them once, and you have to remember where they are and what they are. And then as you draw cards from the draw pile, you can replace cards, but you can make mistakes if you choose to uh, take away the wrong card. And it's kind of like this old game golf that was played with playing cards, but we've reverse engineered it, and we've added specialty cards like Gravedigger cards, where you can dig through the discard pile and grab a card from there. Goblin cards, where you can steal from your neighbor, and even death cards that'll like hurt you. So it's a lot of fun. I originally built it with my 9-year-old Ileana, and we've been playtesting it for the last year, and I'm super excited to get it out into the world. And then we also have the hardcover available. And can you tell us a little bit more about the hardcover?
So it's this first 6 issues so it's the first complete story arc for Cover of Darkness, issues 1 through 6. It covers 5 of our monsters. So you get the vampire, the mummy, Frankenstein, creature from the Black Lagoon, as well as our werewolves. And so you get the origin story for each of our monsters in our world, as well as there's a family. Kind of think Lord of the Rings meets Lord of the Rings meets your Universal Monsters. So this big epic adventure as the family is torn apart and trying to meet each other again and just reunite. And it's the story of the family, and that's threaded through all of these monster origin stories.
Can you tell us a little bit about the twist that we did on the classic monsters?
Yeah, so as we mentioned a little bit earlier, each of the monsters, we've given them their own origin story. So the creature from the Black Lagoon is a pirate and a mermaid love story, because we felt that the creature didn't get nearly enough love, and so he's got a nice origin love story in a horror genre. And the mummy and vampire origin story, we just take what you traditionally know of these creatures, and we've done our own twist, and we've done our own take on them, so that you can see where they come from in our world.
And our werewolves are Vikings.
Yes, that was a ton of fun, just coming up with the whole Viking origin story. And did you know you needed Viking werewolves in your life? Because you do. We all need Viking werewolves, and it just married so beautifully. The story almost told itself as we were telling it. It's great, and it's a lot of fun. You get to see some of your favorites with a whole different backstory and origin. And the nice thing is that you get that full-fledged side to the villain or to the monsters in our world, which is not something that you get in all of the lore that you find.
So the Kickstarter for Cover of Darkness, hardcover, and card game is live right now. So click the link in the description of this video and go and take a look at the campaign. We've got an amazing video for it, and back our book. It's cool. I think you're gonna like it. And Chris Cam, I want to thank you for being on Inside Comics.
Thanks for having me,
until
George.
next time. Yeah, absolutely. Peace.
Have a good one.